I take a very consultative approach to esports. And the reason I do that is because every school is different, whether it's a higher education space and it's private or public or community or a 2-year. The games are different. The product is different. But also what you're going to do with the space is different. So for instance, in college, university, we usually start out with, do you already have a space? And we ask that question to both of them. These are just examples. Usually a higher education university will have a space already kind of planned out. Like, this is the space the university is giving us. Well, that's easy. We want to talk about, what are you doing in this space? How are you utilizing it? How often is it going to be used? And that helps us to kind of determine what the layout of the space might be. So we work with what's called environmental design, meaning we ask these questions because we want to see how people are moving through the space on a daily basis. Where are the bathrooms? Where are the access doors? How are students coming in? To what hours are they coming in? How many windows are in there? It all helps us to define how we might want to design this space. Because one school might be super heavy on PCs and they're like, we just want a room full of PCs all the way down. Okay, that's great. We can do that because it's very easy to take boxes, which would be, on digitally, and put together a 2D space layout. Other ones are more intricate because they do want couches and they want TVs on the walls, and they want a production space that's soundproofed. They want a special lighting. They want sound dampening units coming from the ceiling. They want carpeting. They want graphics on the walls because they want it to be very branding. These are all great things to have, but it's why we do this environmental design and ask a ton of questions, not only to make sure your goals and successes and KPIs are set up, but to make sure that we're designing correctly for that environment. There are other organizations that will do a 2D layout, which is just looking down, and they say, okay, give us length and width, and we'll drop little squares in where your desks and chairs are. That could be wrong. Putting desks and chairs in something is fine if it's just your first shot at something, but you also might overpurchase or underpurchase. You might underutilize or overutilize a space. Palmer Hamilton's process of giving these 2D spaces and being able to speak to a professional like myself is free. So we want to help you to create something great, but it doesn't start like the desks and chairs are simplistic. The furniture, the couches and all that stuff is simplistic. We have to do the goal setting and stuff like that first. And that's your baseline. And then we start building up. And then what do you need for TVs? How far away are you going to be? What do you want for that lighting? Do you need a reception desk because kids are going to use their badges, right? Their school badges to get in. All sorts of different stuff. Are you going to use it for outside influence? How are you going to update all your PCs? Production, and do you want a shoutcaster desk? And there's a meeting room. So there's tons of stuff that we talk about. In K through 12, the biggest question is, where are we going to put it? Because there's not as much space in a K through 12 space, whether it be high school, middle school, or elementary. You just don't build esports rooms. And very rarely is there an esports room in K through 12 that's just esports. Normally what we do is we design dual use spaces. So we take a STEM, a CTE, a CS lab, and we format it, update it, twist it, turn it, and change it so that it can be used for that teacher during the day. And it's based off of what their recommendations are. And then at 3:00 is when things change. We can do things like light changes where it actually shifts and certain lights turn on, other ones turn off. We can make sure that certain TVs on the walls are display monitors, big display TVs instead of a white screen. We have partnerships with companies who can we can wheel in TVs and they're actually hands-on, right? Like whiteboards and stuff like that, as well as gaming monitors, gaming peripherals, gaming TVs. All that stuff is what we can do, as well as to what level do you want to be at. And we can go all the way from, hey, we just need desks and chairs, all the way to these mega 3D designs, which will just blow you away. And we see those both in high school and college. What our goal is allow us to help you optimize your space with a professional that wants to see you succeed. And we know that in that time, when we gain your trust and you can validate that we actually know what we're talking about, what we're worried about is the fact if you're not successful, that program will hurt not only the school from a monetary perspective, but students because they're not succeeding. And rule number one is always let the students succeed, and that's what we want to see too.